When most people create Facebook ads, they try to speak to everyone, but in doing so, you end up speaking to no one. In this video, I'm going to show you how to create winning Facebook ads, not just using structured creative frameworks that are proven to work, but I'm also going to be sharing how to create ads that target specific stages of customer awareness. So Eugene Schwartz, the grandfather of advertising, he wrote one of the most impactful books on advertising called Breakthrough Advertising. And in his book, he spoke about the 5 stages of customer awareness. And basically we have stage 1 of unaware, stage 2 problem aware, stage 3 solution aware, stage 4 product aware, and stage 5 most aware. Now, why is this even important? And why should you create ads and listen to this video and what are you actually going to get from it, right? So why is this actually important? Well, it's very important to speak to people depending on what stage of awareness they're at, right? Because if someone is not aware that they have a problem and you start speaking to them about a problem that you think they have, they're not going to be receptive to that message, right? Likewise, if you start talking about failed solutions that they aren't even aware of, again, they're not going to be receptive to that message. So what you have to do is you have to create ads that target specific stages of customer awareness. And the key is that each of these stages of customer awareness requires a slightly different approach to bring them to, whatever stage they're at to stage 5. Because once they're at stage 5, they're in the pocket, right? Which basically means that they're ready to buy. They have all the information, they can make an informed decision, okay? Now, as you can imagine, if you create ads that focus specifically around how to take someone from, let's just say, a stage 2 to a stage 5, problem aware to most aware, then, it makes a lot of logical sense. And that's ultimately how it works, okay? So what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to go through this document that I put together, which basically teaches you how to create your own frameworks depending on what stage of awareness you're targeting. So here I have a lot of information for problem aware audience, solution aware audience, and product aware audience. We're going to break each of these down. And there's also some proven frameworks here that, if we have time, we can go through. And if you want this document, just, comment down below. I'll shoot it over for free. So first of all, how can you trust the information I'm going to be sharing with you today? Quick refresh here on one of our dashboards for a client of ours, last 90 days, just over $2.3 million in revenue. Here is also some proof of ad creators that we made that have spent over 100K on target. We launched, here you can see the ad name is filtered by ID number. We launched ads multiple times, different landing pages, different ad copy. So this one 176K spend, this one 172, 140, you can see these are different IDs as well, 122, 167, you get the idea. Over the past 5 years, we've been helping e-commerce brands scale their revenue by creating a consistent flow of winning ads. If this is something that you're interested in, then there's a link down below this video. The first one in the description is one to my website. You can go ahead, book a call directly with me, and we'll chat about your business and see if we can actually help you deliver a consistent flow of winning ads that you can scale on Facebook. So let's get right into it. Now, as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, it's important that you create ads that target specific stages of market awareness, and each stage has a different approach. Now, notice how there's only 3 here, and I'm not talking about the other 2. The other 2 are the first stage, which is unaware. Now, the reason why I'm not going to be covering unaware today is because it's much, much more difficult to target unaware customers and take them all the way to stage 5. Okay, maybe that's for a different video. We could talk about that. And stage 5 is pretty easy because they're most aware. They just need to have, they need to see the offer again, or, it's very easy to convert those people. So we're going to be focusing on kind of the middle 3, if you like, which is where most of the opportunity is anyway when it comes to not just size of market, but also the ease of converting those into customers. All right. By the way, if you're a new viewer here, my name is Jordan Hayes. I actually run a marketing agency where we help e-commerce brands scale their revenue profitably. Now, if you're running an e-commerce brand, you're doing over 100K per month in revenue, and you're facing challenges with scale, maybe your ads or your funnel is not working as well as it used to or should be, or even if it's just a lack of time and resource to put into scaling this part of the business, then that's exactly what we help with. So down below this video, there'll be a link to book a call with me. We'll have a conversation about your business, learn more about the challenges, your objectives, and see if there's a fit for us to work together. Worst case scenario, I can provide some insights as we're seeing with our other clients to help you at your current stage of your business. And as I mentioned, this is for brands who are doing at least 100K per month in revenue and they need help with scaling and obviously want to scale profitably. And in the way in which we help brands scale is we provide services across both customer acquisition and customer retention, done for you services which are completely hands-off. We take care of everything for you. And that includes media buying, CRO, landing pages, ad creative, email marketing, SMS marketing, overall growth strategy, lifetime value optimization, all that stuff, okay? So with that said, let's get back to the video. So with the problem aware audience, this is the audience that is aware that they have a problem, but they're not yet aware of a solution to that problem, and particularly your solution, right? So as a result, you have to speak to this audience by showing you understand their problem. You need to meet them where they're at, enter the conversation they're having in their mind by addressing the problem first, okay? This is so, so important. And it makes a lot of sense, right? If someone is aware they have a problem, meet them where they're at with that problem, okay? And when it comes to creating a framework, which is basically a structure of an ad that you can follow, you need to focus more on the journey of taking someone from problem aware to most aware. That's your job, okay? Now, how do you structure this? Well, I'm going to give you an outline here, and basically you can transfer this into an actual ad with individual modules that cover each of these things. all right? And then you can start to structure your ad scripts and your ad creatives that match this, so the journey makes sense, okay? So first of all, you address the problem the customer is facing in the hook. Immediately after the hook, the first 3 seconds, you want to agitate the problem, right? What this means is, how does this actually affect their life? How does it affect their relationships, their social status? How does it affect those things? You want to make the problem and the pain vivid in the customer's mind. You want to really remind them of that pain and of that problem. And you want to talk about the root cause. Like after you agitate that problem, then you want to give them kind of like an explanation, because what we're trying to do here is we're trying to break the customer's belief. Customers have beliefs, and with those beliefs, especially if they're limiting beliefs, it's unlikely that they're going to purchase our product, right? So our job is we break those beliefs and then we introduce a new belief. So as I mentioned, the way you do this is you talk about the root cause and you explain why this problem exists in the first place. And then you back up that explanation with authority and a proof that you were right. This is so important that you back this up. And this could mean referencing a scientific study, consumer trial, using authority, figures, bodies, doctors, institutes to back up the claim, whatever it is, okay? But essentially, customers aren't going to believe you. So you need to leverage the trust of others, which are authority bodies or figures, to be able to create trust in the consumer, okay? You're borrowing trust. Then you can introduce a solution, right? But not your product yet, right? Remember, we're talking to a problem-aware audience. This is a stage 2 audience. It's far away from stage 5. If we just start to introduce our product, they're going to say, oh, another ad, swipe. You know, you're going to get found out. So you want to introduce a solution first, meaning it could be the ingredients, it could be a better option, and then you want to set the scene to introduce your product, right? This is the whole idea, is that it comes across very natural because you're not just saying like, hey, do you have this problem? This is the solution, this is my product, okay? It's more sophisticated than that. So you introduce a solution, and again, immediately back up the solution with authority, social proof, and evidence that it works, okay? Evidence that the outcome that you're talking about is actually proven by the solution. Again, the customer is skeptical, so your job is to introduce a solution without losing them. This is a critical point of the ad because you're either going to keep the audience or you're going to lose them at this stage, okay? As I mentioned, after that, you set the scene to introduce your product. If you've done it right, you'll be able to introduce your product very seamlessly. And in the previous steps, we're building trust with the consumer by making them feel understood, right? A customer that feels understood is a customer that buys. Right? Just remember that when you're building ads. And you're giving them a plausible solution to their problem that makes sense and then backing it up with evidence. Now we can introduce our product off the back of that. And the way the product is introduced should be framed as discovery. And this is important as well because usually in these videos, you have a content creator talking about the product, right? If they just randomly say, and by the way, this product works, right, is like, that makes no sense. So what you want to do is you want to have some sort of discovery phase, meaning how did you actually find the product? Okay, was it you did your own research and you found it on a Reddit thread? Did a friend tell you about it because she has great hair and you also wanted great hair? So you asked her, hey, how do you have so great hair? Like, you know, these kind of things that happen in real life, right? Talk about real life discovery. Then you want to show how the product works. Okay, so now you've introduced the product, now you show how it works. So talk about features, some benefits, unique mechanism, which is really the differentiating factor that your product has compared to other ones, and it creates a moat compared to the competitors. Super important. Social proof and authority, right? These are all elements. You can use all of these or just a few of these, but just remember to always include the unique mechanism and always include benefits that link to the core desired outcome that your customer has. So that's really the key. Now, yes, you can include features for sure. You can also include social proof, authority. Is completely fine. It's going to help. You know, the more you do, the stronger your ad and the stronger your claims are going to be, right? After you've done that, now is the time to present the offer and then the call to action. Okay, so you talk about any current offer you have. You use urgency and or scarcity. Ideally, again, you use both. You can stack these and you introduce a risk reversal. And you want to also, if you can, bake in some retention into your CTA. Okay, so an example of this is, let's just say you have a subscription program. Now, instead of just saying, hey, go buy now, what you could say is, you know, the film in the video is, by the way, they keep selling out. Okay, so what I did is I just did the small thing and I subscribed and saved. I'm getting this product every month anyway, so why not save 15% or, you know, whatever the savings are when it comes to subscribe and save. And you're baking in retention to customers' minds saying, hey, this is in high demand, so you may want to consider subscribing, right? And that's obviously going to help you out a lot on the LTV side. Call to action is finally what to do, right? Go to the, like literally tell them, go to the website, like mywebsite.com, whatever your domain is, and see if it's still available, right? Something like that, rather than just saying, go ahead and shop now, right? It's like, check them out at apple.com, right? That would just be an example. Now, that was the problem-aware audience breakdown. And this gives you an outline of a framework. Like all of these steps, you should transfer into a framework like this. I'll show you right here, where you basically have something like this, where hook, problem discovery, product intro, etc., right? And then what you do is, once you have that outline of the framework, it's very easy to write your script because you just write, you know, 1 or 2 lines per element of the framework, right? The things that make up the framework, 1 or 2 lines per each one. And then you have a script that comes together. Okay, it's much easier to do copywriting that way. And also you're going to produce winning ads as well. All right. So let's talk about solution aware. Solution aware is the next stage, right? These are people who are aware of solutions that are on the market that can fix their problem. They've likely tried some of them, and some of them have likely failed, right? That is the case. That's what happens in the majority of cases. However, they're not aware of your product, okay? So they're solution aware. Like if I have back pain, I know that there's solutions out there. I can go to the chiropractor. I can, use, I don't know, whatever cream. I could try to do this exercise with this thing, whatever it is, okay? But I don't know, maybe there's another product out there that can relieve back pain much faster without, as much effort, without leaving my house, all these things, okay? And that's really the solution aware audience. So in terms of a framework for taking someone from solution aware to most aware, here is how to do it. So you want to start your ad by addressing the core desired outcome of the customer. And to do this, go to the Life Force 8 core desires. You can search this online. And these are 8 desires that we have hardwired into our brains as humans. And what you can do is you could choose one of those, because that's just enough, one of those that your product satisfies, and talk about that as the core desired outcome in the hook, right? Now, that's one option. Option 2 in your hook is you address the failed solution that your customer has tried to solve their problem, okay? So if someone is looking to regrow their hair and you say, maybe it's a content creator filming an ad, like, I tried 3 hair transplants and none of them worked, okay? Maybe someone else tried a hair transplant and didn't work. That's going to resonate with them, okay? So that's just, a failed solution that you could address in the hook to get attention, okay? So depending on which one you choose, for example, if you start by addressing that core desired outcome in the hook, then you can talk about the failed solutions, right? It's very easy to latch into those failed solutions afterwards, right? And the key is to talk about 1 or 2 failed solutions that the customer has tried, and you find that out through your research, right? Or even talking to your customers on the phone. And again, this makes your customer feel understood, right? The customer that feels understood is one that buys, and you get the permission to introduce a new and better solution, right? I would actually focus on 1 failed solution rather than 2, because, it's likely that you are going to appeal to a larger set of an audience when you're talking about 1 failed solution versus 2, right? Because less people inherently maybe have tried 2 or more failed solutions, okay? Just keep that in mind. Now, option B is if you start by addressing a failed solution in your hook, the other option of the hook, then you can move directly to point 2 below, which is agitating the problem, okay? Again, like we spoke about earlier, you want to make them sit in the pain. You want to remind them how not getting the thing that they want to achieve and suffering from this problem is affecting their life, right? Going back to the back pain example, they can't play with their grandkids, right? That is a very emotional appeal. And the most important thing is you appeal to emotion at the beginning of these ads, and then you introduce logic towards the end of the ads so that customers buy with emotion and they justify with logic, okay? So that's really like another structure, the way you think of this, but you really want to be going deep into those pain points at the beginning, okay? After that, you want to explain why failed solutions don't work, okay? So you want to give an explanation as to why, hey, this is the root cause of the problem, and these failed solutions don't address the root cause. Maybe they're not effective enough. They don't have this specific active ingredient that's, proven 100 years ago to solve, this specific type of back pain, like whatever it is. And within this, you can also create a common enemy. Now, a common enemy is a rival that you create that you basically put yourself and your customer on the same team against your competitors. Okay, it's a very, very smart tactic, because if you can throw rocks at the competitors and say, hey, Ozempic is, X, Y, and Z, and it's not good, right? But, simplifying that. And the customers are like, yeah, that makes sense. Like, I don't want to take Ozempic, or maybe I took Ozempic or I'm taking it and don't want to take it anymore. And you say, this is a better option for weight loss, okay? That's just, a very simple example, but hopefully it gives you the idea of how you can create a common enemy and bring the customer to your side to say, hey, look, it's us against them. And it just makes it very easy to sell to someone who's on the same team as you versus opposing teams. So after you do that, you want to introduce a solution, but like we spoke about earlier, don't introduce your product just yet, right? Talk about the solution based off the root cause that you just went through, okay? Then you introduce your product as a solution off the back of that, using the same method as we saw in the problem-aware audience, where you want to talk about the discovery, okay? You want to talk about how the creator in your video actually came across the product in a realistic way. And then again, show the product works, right? And this, the rest of this ad is the same as a problem-aware stage, because we've got the customer to kind of like the problem/most aware stage, they're kind of in between. And now it's just our job to say, here's how it works. These are the features. These are the benefits. This is how it's going to link back to that core desire that you want. And by the way, social proof, here's other people doing it. We have, 300,000 customers who experience the same thing. And also we have some doctors that approve, okay? Pretty strong, right? Then you present the offer. You say, by the way, we're running a buy 1, get 1 free promotion, or, if you buy 2, you get 1 free, or you get a free gift, whatever it is. And then you say, but be quick, because this brand has sold out 3 times this year, and this offer is only going to be live for the next 3 days, okay? So that's just a way to do it. Unique mechanism, again, you can touch on that. And then unique mechanism, again, like we spoke about before, super important, you touch on that as well. And finally, you could do a risk reversal, not always not always mandatory, but it does help with, click-through rate and conversion, and of course, call to action as well, okay? Now that is a solution-aware audience, okay? Now let's talk about the product-aware audience. The product-aware audience is stage 4, right? Much, much easier to convert, much smaller in size than the other two that we went through. However, still very, very important, and you want to create ads for this segment. And it's actually much easier to create ads because they're already aware of your product, right? They've already said, like, you've seen your ads before. Maybe they saw an influencer post about your product. They, word of mouth, they saw it on a podcast, like whatever it is, okay? They've seen it before, they've heard of it, but what they need is they need more information, right? They need more information that it is the right product for them, okay? Because otherwise they would have already made a decision to buy. Okay, so your job is you want to introduce your product in a way that directly links to the core desired outcome the customer has, similar to the solution-aware audience segment that we just went through. But you want to do it in a way that reminds them how your product can help them achieve their desired outcome. Okay, so in this case, the difference between a product-aware and, let's just say, a solution-aware audience at this point is that the solution-aware audience, we're talking about failed solutions, right? We want to make them feel understood in that regard. But with a product-aware audience, because they're already aware of the product, all we have to do is link the product to the desired outcome. Right? Link the product to the desired outcome. And then there's a few different ways you can do this. Some examples of, ad styles. Here's what happens when you take X product for 2 months. I finally decided to try X product. You won't believe what happened to me. This was the moment I realized I waited too long to try product. Okay? Those are just some examples. And those are just maybe some hooks that you can use and build a framework upon using the next stages that I'm going to go through. Okay? So immediately you want to back up the hook by sharing social proof. Other people are doing this and it's working. Desired outcome, show the desired outcome, the visual of the creator experiencing the desired outcome, the creator in your video experiencing the desired outcome that the customer wants. Okay, super important. You want to remind the customer of the product benefits, the features, the unique mechanism, link the benefits back to the desired outcome. You always want to open these loops of curiosity, and you always want to close the loop by satisfying the desire. Okay. And then finally, you can also use authority of proving the product and its efficacy. Third is to future pace your customer. Now, this is a really, really important psychological principle because when it comes to getting a customer to buy a product, if you can future pace what their life is going to look like when they get your product, it's much more likely that they're going to make a decision right now. And with direct response advertising, our goal is for customers to buy the product now. There's no reason to wait until tomorrow, right? Buy it now. But what most brands fail to do is they fail to use enough consumer psychology to really get the customer bought in and convince them that this is the right thing to do right now, okay? So how to future pace? Well, I'll give you some examples. The first one is you can have your content creator talks about how they were in the exact position your customer is in just a few months ago. Like, hey, I was, tired and sluggish and I couldn't get good sleep just a few months ago. And I thought, after trying this and that, I could never find a solution. But then I tried this product after, hearing about it from a friend, and it completely changed my life. Now I am falling asleep within 15 minutes. I no longer need to take melatonin. Like, you see where I'm going, okay? Another way you can do this is you can remind the customer of the creator's life now and how that's changed from a core desire standpoint. And this could be more confidence, more respect from their peers, easier to attract a partner. And this is important because, again, future pacing is not just about, the features and the benefits that the customer is going to enjoy, but it's who that person is going to become, right? You're going to be more confident, and you're going to be able to attract a partner easier, like these kind of things, right? These are really what matters, and this is really what moves the needle when it comes to getting someone to buy a product. Another thing that you can do is you can remind the customer that getting from where they are right now to where they want to be is just a matter of making a decision to get your product, right? You want to basically, the good old sales tactic where it's like, here's where you are right now, this is where you want to be, our product is the vehicle to get you from A to B. That's it, okay? And finally, you can use phrases like, I only wish I had known about this product sooner, why didn't someone tell me about this product years ago, and so on, okay? Then what you want to do is you want to present your offer and you want to drive customers to act now. Again, just like the other ad formats that we saw with a solution-aware and a problem-aware audience stage, is you state the current offer, you use urgency and scarcity to drive action, you include a risk reversal, you bake in retention wherever you can, and then you finally tell people what to do with a call to action, okay? So I know we covered a lot in this video, and yeah, this is pretty much like the blueprint you need to create winning ads. Because again, I'm not giving you a fish, I'm teaching you how to fish, right? Because my goal here is that, yes, I can show you an ad that's performing very well, and that's great because I can break down the framework and you can get an understanding of how it's put together, and maybe that translates to what you're doing with your own brand. But what if you could come up with your own frameworks where you're no longer reliant on the winning ads of other customers, and you could start to almost get out of the red ocean and get into your own blue ocean by creating your own frameworks, because you're equipped with the theory and the skills for each of the stages of awareness that we went through today, okay? Now, if you don't want to create your own ads and you just rather have a team do this for you, this is exactly what we do, right? Link down below in the video description. If you want to check that out, you can book a call with me, and I will see you in the next video.